While we call it a month, it's really our everyday life experience with our families and extended families, our aunts and uncles, and that whole experience of what familia means to all of us.
But for me, this month is about celebrating where we come from and the values and beliefs that we grew up with that come from our culture. And so I like to celebrate that, and we try to do different things at home to make sure that we honor those values that we grew up with.
And that's what I like about Hispanic Heritage Month, that while we get a portion of September and a portion of October to celebrate this large, vast world of what it is to be Latino, what it is to be Hispanic, what it means to be Latina. And it's hard to describe at times.
And it's just a time to pause and recognize that we are a rich culture and we contribute greatly to our United States of America. It's also just the time for the rest of the world to celebrate with us and to acknowledge our contributions to our community.
Well, a concern for many of us, those of us that work in philanthropy and the nonprofit sector, and even just being here in America, there's always going to be a concern about the status of the health of the Hispanic Latino community in Kansas City, our region, our country.
Health doesn't just happen in the doctor's office or in the hospital, but that health happens everywhere in the community, what you eat, what your neighborhood is like, whether you live in a place where there's a lot of pollution or violence, all those things affect health. The interesting part of all of this is some of the ways that we are tackling those gaps and those conditions, right? And one of them that I think Latinos have been very effective is in developing promotoras, right? So community health workers are really helping to address that gap.
We're going to need to start being more intentional in ensuring that we address the structural racism that exists in our country. Discrimination, that is a very, very tough and challenging experience to overcome, right? That can cause trauma, that can cause mental health issues. So it's important to recognize that our country has been built on a very racist structure, and the fact that we do not have our Latino contributions captured in the history books, the fact that we don't seem to be acknowledged for the contributions we have made in the history of the United States. I think it's one way that we should continue to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, to remind those folks that we do matter, we are here, and we can.
And Adriana, you talked about having to change the structural racism that is embedded in our laws, in our policies, in our rules, everything that governs the way we live, what we study, how we do things. I think structural racism is embedded in those, and it's almost invisible, and it affects people's ability to really access and activate their power.
When you're a child growing up in a society that doesn't value or doesn't acknowledge your existence, that does impact your pride. Are you going to be proud of who you are and what your history is and where you come from? Probably not. So I think we need to continue to celebrate the beautiful culture that we have, and to acknowledge the greatness, and to allow children to dream and to see that they have power, that they have beauty, that they have pride in who they are.
Because in the end, we're all in the same boat, and it's all one community. And if somebody is not if somebody's health outcomes, their economic access isn't quite right, in the end, it impacts the entire community.
Everybody. Yeah.
As Latinos, we stand unidos con la gente, united with the people in our community. And as program officers, directors that work here at this foundation, we've always got an open door. If people are wanting to reach out to us to talk about what strategies, ideas they have to make this a better community, we're all ears. We're always interested in hearing what they have to say.